do you want another baby or do you miss baby Luna? It's a very strange feeling to miss somebody who is still in front of you. The speed at which these babies turn into people is almost cruel.
Hello, and welcome to A Normal Family, a podcast collecting and retelling true family stories with lessons for us all. Vikki-Kate got in touch to share her experience of being a one-and-done mum, including the views of internet trolls. We also talked about how she manages screen time and whether being a pet parent can prepare you for having human children. If you don't already, then do subscribe to this channel and like this video to see more conversations like it. Let's get started. So thank you for joining me this morning.
you.
Vikki-Kate, tell me a little bit about what life for you right now.
I live in rural Northamptonshire. I very recently moved house into a village, which is very different and very quiet. Somewhat sinisterly quiet at night time. But
So
it's
still
very nice.
adjusting.
Still adjusting. Yes, I know what the time is now because an enormous bell tells me every hour on the hour. It's very whimsical, and I live here, just me and my 5-year-old daughter and my 2 little doggies who are asleep behind.
Aw, the whole
Hopefully
family.
they'll stay asleep for the rest. I have one child, but honestly, these dogs sometimes give me more stress than she does. So it feels like I have 3 a lot of the time.
Pet parent as well as
I am.
a,
I am
as
a dog mother.
a
Yeah.
child.
Well, I think roll their eyes when you talk about being, a dog mum. But I genuinely feel like he taught me a lot about motherhood before I even had a child. Because
Okay.
when you're a single dog mother, you can't just go off and do whatever you want. It's obviously not the same as having a child, but you still just can't be like, oh, I'm just gonna go away for 2 days. You have to consider somebody slash something else before you, and that essentially is parenting.
So did you always want to be a mum, not a pet parent, but a mum,
A real mum.
a real
The
mum?
dog people. I think so. Yeah, I do feel like I did. I wasn't one of those people that I was like, that's my life's purpose. I wasn't as strong as that, but I always just felt like that would just happen. That was kind of supposed to happen. So it just would.
There was an inevitability to it that didn't really require much thought from
Yes.
you. So when you had Luna and you were still partnered at that time,
Mhm.
did you always know that you would be one and done, or was there part of you that thought there might be more children in the future?
When I was younger, I have a sister, and so I'd always had this thing of like, oh, if I have kids, I'll probably have 2. So they've got a wee friend and blah blah blah. And then I had a good pregnancy, didn't have any
Mhm.
complications. So there was truly no kind of reason in that sense why I wouldn't have a second one.
Mhm.
Do you know, as in, because some people like, I couldn't go through that again. I
Yeah.
could go through that again. Yeah, I feel like a lot of mums talk about kind of surviving the first year, like we made it through the first year. But I was very blessed, I will say, and you're not allowed to say this out loud while it's happening. She slept a lot. She slept great. She fed great. She was chill. And I would go to baby groups, and all the mums there would be like, oh, yeah, we've had 2 hours. And I would sit there and be like, oh, yeah, me too. Because you can't go there and be like, I just had 10 hours sleep. What are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah. I'm fine.
Can't do that. No. Because also, as soon as you say it out loud, it's over and it stops. And then they wake up every 2
Yeah.
hours. I don't
Yeah.
know
You don't want to jinx yourself.
what the science is behind that, but that's definitely a thing. So I loved that first year. If I could go back, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Mm.
Truly, it was joyous. She was amazing. So there's no real reason
Mhm.
why I shouldn't have another one, but I didn't ever have that like urge in that
Mm.
sense. I just felt very comfortable with her. My sister fell pregnant when I was 3 months pregnant, which was
Amazing.
joyous because her and her husband had been trying for about 5 years at that point. So 3 months apart, we
Really
live
beautiful.
20 minutes apart. So these girls are growing up together. So she basically has a sister, that's what it
Yep.
feels like. So close. And yeah, I didn't feel a pressure from anyone in my family or friends, which I know a lot of people do. So I did get the, are you going to have another one? But I was always quite comfortable being like, no, I don't think so. Or I'd make the joke, I've already got 3. Like, what more do you want from me?
And did friends and family accept that?
Yeah, very much so. I think so. I would say my 3 best girlfriend, one of them has 3 kids, and a stepkid. So she has 4. The other one has 1, like me, but wants a second. And the other one is child free and very happy being child free. So I have quite a mix of
Yeah.
different.
Range of lifestyle choices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I wasn't in what I would call baby world in that sense. No one's ever tried to persuade me, which has been great. The internet, however,
Go on.
has many and varied things to say about the one and done of it all. I didn't know that it was a thing until I became a one and done
Yeah.
mum. The opinions that people have about it are
What's the worst
wide.
that you've heard?
Just basically, you're a selfish monster. When you
Wow.
die, think about all the things they're going to have to deal with. When you're old, all your problems will rest on your only child. How could you? And I'm like, okay.
Because
I have
obviously the
no
purpose of
plans
bringing a
for her
daughter into the
to.
world is in order that she can look after you in elder life.
So this is the implication. Then my comeback is, but I didn't have a kid, so someone could look after me when I'm about to die. I don't know. I don't know if I'm okay to say this, but I feel like when people do say that, it's a bit of a tell because it's like, okay, so is this why you had kids? Because I feel like that's maybe not the best reason to bring someone into the world, just so you have like a retirement plan. That feels kind of
And we
gross.
we
No.
talked a little bit about this on message, didn't we? But those egotistical reasons that people want children because they're going to get
Yeah.
to bring them up their way like them.
Yes. Yeah.
Perhaps they think that they're a good parent.
Yes, fulfill the things they didn't get to do, and it's like, but
Yeah.
what if your kid has no interest in the thing that you wanted to do? Stage mums, maybe. No shade,
Yes.
stage mums.
But no particular shade to drama mums. I guess the point is just people who are
Absolutely
living
not.
vicariously through their children, whether that's
Yes, it's whether
drama
their
or
kids
soccer
have,
or
if that's what your kid loves, amazing, like, let's go drama mums, I'll be there,
yeah,
throwing roses. But if that's not what she's into, I'm not gonna be like, "You will go to acting school." I don't, do
100%.
people still do that stuff? I hope not, but
Is there anything that would convince you to have more children?
oh, as
Yeah.
you know, we're the same age. I am barreling towards my 40th birthday, so I feel like now I truly don't think that there would be. I'm gonna tell you something very interesting. I think Luna was about 2 at this point, and I had a little window where I would get quite broody
Mhm.
and I would doubt my decision to have one. And then someone asked me this question and it changed everything for me. She said, "Do you want another baby or do you miss baby Luna?" And I was like, huh. And I really sat on it and I was like, I miss baby Luna. That's what it
Uh,
is. So I didn't actually, when I really kind of deep dived that for quite some time, realize I didn't actually want another child. Every mum will tell you this. It goes by so fast, but it's unfairly fast. Can I
mm.
swear? Is this a sweary podcast?
No, yeah, you can swear. Yeah,
Swear.
please.
It's a
This is a sweary
mind fuck.
podcast.
The speed at which these babies turn into people is almost cruel. Like, it's so unhinged. You just get used to them being this kind of way. And sometimes, really, when I say it happens overnight, it happens overnight. You wake up and they're just doing something completely different. You've cracked bedtime. You're like, "I've done it. It works. This is it. The formula. We've got it." They'll wake up the next day and be like, "Actually, I hate that now. You need to figure out a new thing." And it's just like, what? Like, it changes so quickly. And you hit that first birthday and you just like,
Yeah,
we just got
yeah,
back from the
yes.
hospital. What's happening? What do you mean you're moving around? And then they start talking. So the sheer speed of how fast stuff moves, it's a very strange feeling to miss somebody who is still in front of you.
Mm.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, that
Almost like you're
sentence doesn't
mourning
make.
those, like, versions of them that
Yes.
are changing
Yeah,
so quickly as they grow and
absolutely.
develop.
Especially when you get a really good bit and you're like, "Oh, this is so fun." Like 2.5, peak, peak. She was, I don't know, just everything about her, I loved it. She was hilarious and so weird. And then it changes again. And then you're
Mm.
just like, "But
I
come
wanna go
back."
back.
Yeah. And every
Yeah.
new part has its own new fun, cool, amazing thing. So it's not like you're like, stop with this chunk." And I think we're so lucky to have of the ease of photographing and recording our
Mm.
kids. Because I think about, for our parents, I've got maybe 3 VHS videos of me
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
from 0 to 5,
yeah.
uh, and for me
Just
to line
small little
you just
excerpts of
tiny little,
childhood.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we are really lucky to be able, if
Mm.
you're just in bed, I can just pick up my phone and be like, "Oh, there she is." So
Yeah.
that's really nice.
Tell me about your father-daughter relationship.
But I'm obsessed with her. She's so much cooler than me. We
We
hang
hang
out
out
together, we go
together.
on holiday. Movie night, yes, please. Do you know what I mean? I was like, obviously, there is a separation, but there isn't. Obviously, I parent her. She's my child. She needs routine and all of these things.
Mm.
But actually, because it is just the two of us, I would hate for her to live in a house where she didn't feel like she had a friend in this house.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I treat her like a friend, as in her being able to communicate with me. I want her to feel like she can talk to me about anything.
Mhm.
I want to foster that, so then when she's older, if she makes some massive mistake, I want her to run to me,
Yeah.
away from me.
Yeah.
That's very important to me. So, and think, I don't know if you can get that without having at its core that trusting friend dynamic. However, I don't treat her like my friend, as in, I'm not talking to her about my stuff and
Yeah.
putting anything on her, or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Your mental health challenges, for example, or things like that
Yes,
where
yes,
you
yes,
would
where I
discuss
would
with
talk
a
to my
friend.
friends. Yes, I would talk to them with my adult actual friends. She doesn't need to have, any heat on her, or,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
So,
Gabor Mate says that children take things personally. And
yes.
so let's say, for argument's sake, even if you were complaining about something that had happened at work to her in the way that you might do to a friend, the risk is
Yeah.
that children will take that on themselves and end up
Yes.
feeling responsible for your emotions
Yeah.
and your well
Yeah.
being. And not that either of you would intend this, but ultimately she would end up feeling like she was having to parent you
Yes.
to be responsible for you,
Absolutely.
which at her
Yeah.
tender age is
No, she's not
not what you want.
responsible for my feelings. She's not responsible for my happiness.
Yeah. How do you create that environment with her where she can talk to you about anything?
I don't ever judge her for anything. If she does something naughty, because we have such an open communication, she will come and tell me straight away, bless her. Even when she does something, quotes, like, bad, I'm not going to fly off at her or tell her she's bad or something. I deal with it as best I can, calmly, and this is fine. And then afterwards, let's now sit down and talk about why we shouldn't have done that. Because
Mm.
also, and I found this when she was very little, she was having a massive meltdown or a big tantrum about something. That's not a teachable moment. They're not taking anything in when they're in that, like, state of distress. So there's no point. There's no point in getting mad. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. It doesn't do anything. So I've always tried to just let her have her feelings. And then when everybody's calm and chill, I always say, "Come on, let's have a chat." And I get her to sit on my knee. And then I'll say, "Hey, so, what happened earlier?" And rather than, "Why did you do that?" more, "How were you feeling when that happened?"
Yeah.
There's no bad kids. If they're acting out or doing something, it's always because of something else.
Mm,
You know what I
mm.
mean?
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
just feel like it's my responsibility to work out what the thing was underneath and help her with that, because her she's still growing, like, her brain is still massively developing.
Yeah,
I'm the adult, I'm the parent, so it's on me to kind of do that legwork for her and
yeah.
with her, so that then she does feel safe to come to me and tell me about everything, because she knows that I am a safe space for her.
And it reminds me of a conversation I was having with someone the other day, which is how, as a parent, can you detach the action from the person?
Yes.
So actually, maybe they still use the naughty step with their child,
Mm.
but that it's in the context of like, okay, I love you, but we're going to take a time out and you're going to go and sit there for
Mhm.
5 minutes while you think about what you've done or whatever it is.
Yes.
But the important point being that you say you care and you still love the person and that you're going to
Yeah.
come back for them. Whereas again, children being hypersensitive, perhaps in the past, might have been sent to the naughty step with all this fear that that was it. They were now outcast from the family. They were never going to be
Yeah.
loved or spoken to
Yeah.
again.
It's like you had a massive feeling, so we're gonna solve this massive feeling by making you sit by yourself.
Yeah, by giving you a whole other bunch of horrible feelings to deal with.
Yes, please. I
What do you
forgot.
think it means to be a modern parent?
I think there's a massive plus and a minus.
Yeah.
We have access to a greater sense of community that maybe our
Mhm.
mothers didn't have. If they lived somewhere that was a bit more isolated,
Mhm.
they were truly on an island with their kids. Whereas now we can create these online communities. There is help there and there's access there. And you can always find somebody who is going through what you're going through. So that is super helpful. However, it comes with a downside, probably mostly around social media aspect
Mhm.
with comparison. You have to be careful, especially like these mom influencers. There is a lot of like perfect beige children in their perfect beige clothes, and we only play with wooden toys. And I make all my snacks from scratch.
My
And
paleo gluten-free
this is
vegan
yes,
snacks.
this is exactly what look, if that's you do you, bravo, but you can get caught up and be like, "Oh, should I be doing this? Should I be
Mhm.
doing that?" And I think our mums didn't have that level of scrutiny and just
Comparison
exposure,
and yeah.
of comparison. Yeah,
And what about with Luna?
personally.
How do you manage screen time, and have you thought about social media when it comes to her relationship with it?
How do I feel about screen time? I don't rely on it, because I think once you rely on it, you then are at risk of entering a dangerous place.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, and I'm only speaking to the kid that I have. This is what
What
was
works for you?
important to me as a mum, and thankfully I was able to implement it. There's one particular thing that I really didn't want, and I sat through a handful of horrifying dinner experiences out in the general wild. I didn't want to have a kid who could not go out to eat without a screen in front of them. That's just me. It's a bugbear. I have a very specific memory of we went to this play thing, just me and her. We went to, I think it was like Frankie and Benny's or something. She was the only child there without an iPad in front
Yeah.
of her. And it was wild to me.
I have
I'm
to
not saying
say,
I've never broke the phone out. It has happened, but that I will do that in a circumstance if she's the only kid and there's other adults. She shouldn't have to sit like
listening to
after
adult
everybody's
conversation.
eaten and then we're chatting. That's fine. But if you can't eat a meal without being relentlessly entertained, especially thinking about her tiny brain, I feel like that's a problem. And it
Yeah.
creates antisocial humans as
Yeah.
they grow.
Yeah.
So,
Call me old fashioned, but I'm
like, I,
totally with you on this. And it makes me sad when I
yeah,
see if it's half
so
term or something
sad.
and you're out and the mum and dad have obviously taken time off work
Yeah.
and take the kid out, and then all they're doing is sat there staring into screens together. It's not exactly
Yeah.
quality time, is it?
Oh,
It's not teaching about all the things that presumably we go out for this type of experience
yeah.
to have and to
And
learn.
for me, like, you go out for dinner for the experience of socializing,
Yeah,
right? Or we
yeah,
just eat in our house. Like, why are we here?
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
much more expensive. I could sit you in front of Doggy in our kitchen. Do you know what I mean? I'm not paying to do this in the outside world. So
100%.
it was always very important.
And perhaps it's a bit about being comfortable being bored and finding your own entertainment, watching the
Yes.
barman clean glasses or
Yeah,
whatever it
that is
might be.
huge. There's a lot of kids right now who just cannot cope with being bored. It's
Yeah,
like that relentless need to be entertained
yeah.
24/7. Um,
I know that you're
but it's
neurodiverse,
just
but do you think we're kind of creating a version of ADHD in all of us where we're kind of
yeah,
overstimulated and
yeah,
need to be stimulated
yeah.
more?
Maybe I am hyper aware of that because of my ADHD. She's coming up 6. I've had a few chats with school. I think there's probably a good chance that she probably also has my type of ADHD. They've started to notice things at school where she's just really struggling to
Mhm.
focus. But I think is it ADHD or is she 5? Because a lot
Yeah,
of that is interchangeable. They're not going to be laser focused on something for half an hour. That's not normal. Do you know what I mean? All kids are, looking at this and that. So I do understand, the need for that nice constant drip of dopamine,
yeah.
but I just want to encourage her to get it other ways than just
Screen
it
time.
being fed to her from a screen. And she does, and she's very creative now, and when we go out to eat places, because me and her go out to eat quite often. Most places have crayons and a
Yeah,
menu you can color on, and she's perfectly happy. And also, we're talking. I'm not sitting on my phone and ignoring her while she's
yeah.
coloring. We're just hanging out,
Interacting. Yeah,
basically. Talking about anything, talking about school. I have a tip. Can I share with any
please.
parents? This is my best tip I invented, and I feel very, very proud of myself
Love it. Let's
because it
hear
works
it.
so well. Right, kids come out of school. What did you do today? I can't remember. Nothing. Constantly. She said that to me once, and then there's an app that they'll let you know what they've been doing that day. I got sent a picture. She was holding a snake, and I was like,
Nothing.
Luna? She's like, "Are you for unhinged?" So, I thought, "How can I pull something out of her in a way that is fun for her?" I don't know if it will work the same with every child. Don't know how the lads will respond to this, but me and Luna on a Friday, I'll sit her down, I'll be like, "Right, what's the hot goss?" And she's like, "Well." I know everything that's going on in that classroom, Anna. I have all the gory details. The mums come to me because I have all the hot goss. So when I frame it like that, instead of saying, "What did you do today? What did you learn?" Ask your child, "What's the hot goss from school?" And then all of a sudden they're like,
And then phonics is the most exciting thing all of a
"Phonics
sudden.
is that?" Yes. Who's marrying who?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I miss a good schoolyard wedding.
We now have a house with a bath,
That's
which is very exciting. I
bath
lived for
time.
many years without a bath. So we have what she calls chatty baths, where we sit in the bath together and I do her hair. And then she's asked me so many things that she hasn't asked me before just from being in the bath, which I'm finding very interesting and very nice.
Mm.
So I'm going to keep it up with the chatty baths.
Excellent. It's like a little safe space somehow that you've created.
Yeah, I think so.
Very
So it
nice.
feels like where she can be a bit more open and whatever.
And
But
with your
yeah,
parenting style, what do you hope she'll grow up into?
I just want her to grow up into somebody who is a kind human being, very open, non-judgmental, very empathetic and accepting. However, I'm also trying to teach her boundaries because I think with girls that's extremely important to know her worth, to stand her ground, to not be afraid to pipe up. I tell her We have many conversations about what we call her magic tummy,
Mhm.
which is her intuition. So, her magic
Beautiful.
tummy, especially as a girl, that is the most important thing in your whole entire universe. So, if someone is standing in front of you and they're telling you one thing or acting one way, and your magic tummy is going, I don't think that's right. Never, ever, ever be
Wow.
persuaded by what's in front of you. If this one's telling you something else, you listen to this.
Oh, wow. How
Always,
interesting.
always. And I've seen her put that in action
I was
a
gonna
few
say, she's
times,
tuning into that. You
and
got
it
an
makes
example you
me
can share?
so proud. She said to a little boy at school, "My mummy says I don't have to be polite to you." And she bought them. Yes. I'm so proud.
Brilliant.
I said to her, I said, "If someone's making you uncomfortable, you just walk away and you don't have to be nice about it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well,
Like,
she's
and
taken it
that's
on.
okay." Yeah. But she's naturally a very, like, sweet and kind girl.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm worried I'm gonna turn her into, some rude monster or anything.
Yeah.
But because she is so sweet and kind, I feel like it's important for me to teach her that sometimes you
Boundaries
don't
are
have to
okay.
always. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
But I think for me, just in my life, and this is no kind of shade to my parents or my mum in particular, again, it's a different time and a different way of parenting.
Yeah.
Me and my sister were very much kind of raised to be polite, you smile, of you're a lady and blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so
Don't cause
don't cause
the
a scene, don't
scene.
cause a fight. Yes, all of that stuff. I ignored my intuition as a woman for so long, like
Mm.
well into my 30s, pushed it down. Oh, I'm just being silly. I'm just being emotional. And it was right every single time. It
Yeah.
will always be right.
Yeah.
So, and it does make me think, what would my life have looked like if I was taught that from day one?
Yeah, totally. God, I wish that I had I also
Yeah,
feel like I'm only really
wildly
learning that
different.
later.
Yeah, so truly, I think as a mother to a daughter, that is the single most valuable thing that I can
Mm.
ever teach her
Love
is
that,
to,
Vikki.
yeah, trust that above anything and
And just
everyone
talking a bit more
else.
about generational differences, and without wanting to sound like a dinosaur. When we were at school, although I'm sure there were there were certainly people who were gay, maybe there were even people who would identify as transgender, but it wasn't something that we
Yeah,
ever really spoke about. Even for those people, it was never something that they could be explicit about. Maybe they didn't understand
yeah.
themselves. But I think that that's changed now, and I'm interested in what Luna, as a 5-year-old, understands or think about these things comparison to how we were when we were kids.
Night and day.
Mm.
Yeah, night and day. I'm bisexual, so she understands that I am part of the queer community.
Yeah.
She knows that mummy likes girls and boys
Mhm.
and feels romantically towards girls and boys. She has gunkles, like she knows Uncle Adam and Uncle Greg are married, and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? She knows what non-binary people are. She's known
Mhm.
that since she was 3 or 4. And this is
And
the
was
thing,
that because
you
you had
get
people in your life or because that was a conversation you decided to have with her?
yes, it came out organically in conversation.
Mhm.
It might have been it was Sam Smith, and then I was like, "So actually, as in there's something called non-binary, which is where someone doesn't feel entirely like they are a boy or a girl, or maybe a bit of both. They're just somewhere in the middle." And people are very like, we can't teach the children this. They'll be too confused. They won't understand. She was literally like, "Oh, okay."
Completely take it
That
at
was it.
face value.
That was it. Yeah. And then she was like, in a video game not that long ago. I can't remember what the character was. "Oh, are they a boy or a girl?" And she was like, "Or are they non-binary?" And I went, "Babe, oh, it's Toad from Mario Kart." I was like, "Toad." I went, "I'm not gonna lie to you, babe. Toad probably would be
Good
non-binary. Toad
chance.
is
Good chance.
definitely gender fluid." And she's gone to Pride with me every year
Yeah.
since she was 2. It's not even a thing. It's just part
Mhm.
of life and part of the conversation.
That's
Whereas when
brilliant.
we were younger, it was very much like a thing.
Yeah.
And hoping that when she grows up, my one kind of hope for her is that she never feels the need to come out to me,
Mm,
that she will just one day turn up with someone, whoever that
mm.
person is, or just start talking about how she feels about something without there having to be like big reveal. Because
Right.
when nobody comes out as straight, do you know what I mean?
I'm seeing
It's not.
someone and
I
it's a
know.
man and yeah.
It's a oh god. She has a boyfriend. It's terrifying. No. So, yeah, I just want it to be such an almost non-event.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
can I think it's just finding a balance of information that's also kind of age appropriate, which is always
Yeah.
tricky. It's always a
Yeah.
bit of a
Yeah.
minefield.
Yeah. And playing the dance with making sure that you're the person to have certain conversations with her and not friends at school or
Yes.
the internet.
Yes. Yeah, for
Mm,
sure. And so if she does hear someone saying something like that, she knows what's right and
yeah.
what's fair. And it's the same with race. As white parents of white children, that is a responsibility of us. We can't just pretend it's not a thing
Mm,
and just not have the, I don't know if darker conversations is the
difficult.
right word, but do you know what I mean? It's again a non-issue for her because she's just been
Grown
brought
up.
up around lots of different people and things like that.
Better to
Yeah.
get in there with some good information before some
Yeah,
potentially bad information
absolutely.
sets in. You talked about going to Pride together, going out for dinner. I'm interested in what rituals and traditions you and Luna have together.
So we do winter solstice together, and my mum bakes a Christmas cake for us every single year. We light candles, we put music on, and then we decorate grandma's cake together. And I cook us whatever her favorite dinner is at that particular time. And we sit and we have dinner and talk about what we're excited for and what we've been grateful for from the past year and what we want to do the next year. And
Beautiful.
then we make our wishes and then she blows the candles out and then that's our little so we've done that every solstice now. And now it's one of my favorite parts of the whole year.
Amazing.
And it's really nice to feel like, oh, have I made a family tradition?
Yeah.
And that maybe if she ever has her own kids, one day she might do that with them.
When you started doing it, did you
Goodness.
specifically create it as a ritual that you would continue, or is it just something that struck you one
It
day
was
and
no, yeah, it was after so I observe those holidays, anyway. As she got bigger, it was a slightly selfish motive to avoid the horror and terror of Elf on the Shelf. I'm not an Elf on the Shelf mum. I know my strengths as a mother. I'm not moving that fucking elf around every day. Isn't it the entire of December? Please. So we don't have an elf on shelf in our house.
And I think what's beautiful about it is as you reflect, she might do this for her children because part of the
Yes.
reason I'm interested in rituals is it helps give us a sense of belonging
Yeah. Yes.
and a connection, not just with the people there in that moment, but through time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It feels like just a very nice gift
Mm,
in that sense.
mm.
When I was little, we had specific things that would happen on Christmas morning and just the way that things were done. Not all, but I've carried a lot of them
Yeah,
either consciously or unconsciously with Luna and I think it's important because it does give you a sense of belonging to
absolutely.
something just bigger
That's
um
it. It's something being
than
part of something that's
yourself.
bigger than ourselves. I remember talking
Yeah.
to a Jewish friend years ago, and she talked about how Friday Shabbat for her was really special, partly because she knew that Jews around the world were sitting down and doing the same
Yes,
thing.
all
So it gave
doing
her
it
a
at the
sense of
same
connection to the
time.
community. And that always really stuck with me in terms of that
Yeah, that's lovely.
impact of ritual.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
as
that
you
must be
know,
really
with a
nice.
normal family, I'm
Mm.
interested in what are the good bits of family? Of course, family, as we were growing up, came with lots of cultural, societal, familial expectations,
Mhm.
some of which I and others reject. But I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So, what do you think the best bits of family are that we should be carrying through into the 21st century?
You know, the best part of family for me now is taking some parts from my family and bringing it into my new family. Yes, picking and choosing and releasing that pressure to do everything the same.
Yeah.
Because I think the generations, especially with mothers before, were put on that this is how we do it. And
Related to what you were saying earlier, I guess that to parents in previous generations, perhaps all the information that they had access to was how they had been parented and what their parents and the people around
that
them did. Whereas now we have access to that information and a whole internet world of other
absolutely.
experiences, ideas,
Yeah.
practices.
Yeah, and it's just that freedom of we don't have to do it this way. It's not just like, well, this is how it's always been done. Now we have that freedom to be like, actually, I am going to do something. I think when you said about what's the best parts about family,
Mm.
something I would add is that we get to choose our family
Mhm.
as well. And I think people have more freedom to do that. And that's becoming more accepted. And that there are families that aren't the nuclear family. We were little if someone's parents got divorced. It was
Yeah,
this big
scandal.
thing. Whereas now there's so many different kids with so many different families. And some people view that as kind of a negative thing, as in like, oh, the state of society. But I'm like, I think it's wonderful because it allows children to feel like they belong no matter what their
Yeah.
circumstance.
I think lots of people grew up with that dissonance between what
Yeah,
was supposed to be a happy nuclear family and then
yeah,
people's lived experience inside of it.
yeah, for sure. So I think the broader acceptance of people having a different looking family
Yeah,
or being able to choose what their own family looks like is for me the best part
yeah,
of being a family, because families can look like whatever you want them to look like. As long as you enforce that into your kid that this is our family and it's perfect just as it is, I feel like there's no reason for them to feel otherwise.
I 100% know what you mean.
Mm.
It's almost like I could have written that little closing bit for
You're welcome.
because, that for me is what the project is about, is
Oh, nice.
highlighting the gap between what we imagine is normal and what is actually normal. And that actually, if we just live by some good principles, it doesn't really matter what shape the family unit takes.
No,
That's the beauty of
no.
being more selective nowadays. So yeah, I love that sentiment. Thank you to this week's guest for sharing their story and to you for listening. Check out our show notes for more information on this topic, and please keep watching for more unfiltered families. And don't forget that you can get in touch if you think that you have a story to share.